What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're in a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 21 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $2,280 just yesterday, and another member who won $700 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to WM Tolbert 5332 who said I'm you and still rolling with you. Shouts out to Jane Jack Desalin 4236 who said good stuff. Shouts out to also CWIIP SV83 who said Waco, Texas, and shouts out to Christopher Penrose who said my guy. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is none other than Nafisa Collier, and this one is actually for 3.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at someone like Nafisa Collier, we have actually seen her go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we do see on July 17th, faced off against Phoenix, had 0 assists there. July 23rd, faced off against Chicago, had 4 assists in that matchup. After that, July 26th, faced off against the Aces, had 2 assists in that matchup. Then 7 assists against Atlanta on July 28th. And then New York Liberty had 2 assists on July 31st. So it's definitely been pretty interesting. Now, looking at someone like Nafisa, we do actually see that not only has she gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5, but her average over the last 5 is also 3. Now, as you all know, when it comes to Nafisa Collier, we do see Minnesota face off against the Las Vegas Aces. Now, just to remind you all as well, this is the only game for today. So, all the picks are going to be from this game, just to make you wary of that. But looking at where both of these teams do rank, we do actually see, starting off with Minnesota Lynx, we do know that Minnesota Lynx do rank first in the WNBA, and they have a record of 23 wins and 5 losses. That's an 82.1% win percentage. They are 15-1 from home, 8-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. Now, on top of that, when you also look at, where Minnesota Lynx have done very well in the overall WNBA, they also do rank first in the Western Conference, and they are number 1 spot in the Western Conference by a mile. Now, they face off against the Las Vegas Aces, who are also in the Western Conference. Now, they rank a little bit differently. They actually come in at the 8th spot in the WNBA, but they do actually rank 5th in the actual Western Conference. So that's a bit interesting there. Now, when we look at, their actual record, they have a record of 14 wins and 13 losses. That's a 51.9% win percentage. They are also 7-4 from home, 7-9 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak as well. So it has been pretty interesting for Nafisa Collier. Now, coming into this matchup, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but we do also know, looking at Las Vegas Aces defensively, we do know Las Vegas Aces do rank 9th when it comes to assists allowed. Now, the reason why we do actually like the under for this situation here is, looking at this matchup, we do actually see, looking at Nafisa Collier, we are expecting the under for this one, as Las Vegas Aces actually do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the forward position. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. We definitely are expecting the under due to the fact that when you look on a per position basis, we should definitely see Nafisa Collier struggle there. On top of that, the fact that Nafisa has also struggled, just overall in general at her usage rate in the assist department, we definitely see that being a big factor coming into this matchup. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for this one. When you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have her favored for the under as well. So Nafisa Collier, 3.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about another great player, and that is none other than A'ja Wilson. So A'ja Wilson, great player. This one is also for assist, for actually 3.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at A'ja Wilson, we have actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, this one's an interesting one because we do also see when it comes to A'ja Wilson, looking at those last 5 games, we do see on July 23rd, faced off against Atlanta, and then had 5 assists in that matchup. After that, faced off against also on July 25th against Indiana, had 2 assists in that matchup. Then on the 26th, faced off against Minnesota Lynx, actually had 3 assists in that matchup. Then July 28th, faced off against Dallas Wings and had 7 assists. Then 4 assists against LA Sparks on July 30th. So it has definitely been interesting for A'ja Wilson coming into this matchup. Now, as we all know, Las Vegas Aces do face off against Minnesota Lynx. Now, looking at both of these teams, starting off with the Las Vegas Aces, we did roughly touch on them, but just to remind you all again, they do rank 8th in the WNBA, also 5th in the Western Conference, and have a record of 14 wins and 13 losses. And then on the other side of Las Vegas Aces matchup, face off against Minnesota Lynx, who have been on an absolute tear, going in at the number 1 spot in the WNBA, but also the number 1 spot in the Western Conference. And they have a record of 23 wins and 5 losses. That's an 82.1% win percentage. So on top of that, we also do see coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to A'ja Wilson, we have actually seen her go on the under quite consistently, you know, over those 2 games. But we also do know, looking at Minnesota Lynx, looking at them defensively, we do know they rank actually first when it comes to assists allowed. So they rank very low when it comes to restricting assists. Now, looking at this matchup more in depth as well, we do know that Minnesota do a fantastic job at actually, you know, slowing down the pace of the game and trying to slow it down as much as they can. So we are expecting a different sort of pace for A'ja Wilson and Las Vegas Aces are used to, and it could definitely have a huge effect there. When you look at their most recent matchup, they did actually play on the July 26th, faced off against Minnesota. We saw A'ja Wilson only get 3 assists there. So we are expecting a similar situation and a similar outcome once again like that coming into this next game. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for this one. So A'ja Wilson, keep an eye out for the under for 3.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than Kayla McBride. So, Kayla McBride, great player, and this one is for 13.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Kayla McBride, we actually have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on July 17th, faced off against Phoenix, had 18 points in that matchup. July 23rd, faced off against Chicago, had 19 points there. July 26th, faced off against the Aces, had 13 points in that matchup. And July 28th, faced off against Atlanta, had 4 points there, and then 24 points against New York Liberty on July 31st. So it has been a little bit interesting in that case. Now, looking at this matchup, we do also see, looking at Kayla McBride, Minnesota face off against Las Vegas Aces, as we all know. But looking at the matchup again, we do know Lynx rank very high, but I just do also want to mention when it comes to Minnesota Lynx, over the last 10 games, we actually see them have a record of 7-3, and then Aces on the last 10 games have a record of 6-4. So, you know, a little bit interesting in that matchup. But looking at Minnesota and Las Vegas Aces and looking at where Aces do rank defensively, we do see that the Aces do rank 9th when it comes to points allowed. So they rank pretty low. So why do we like the under for this one? And a big reason is that when you look on a per position basis, we do know Kayla McBride actually do a fantastic job at restricting points to the actual guard position. So we definitely are expecting the under for this one. Looking at someone like Kayla McBride, we definitely are looking for the under, as when we also look at their matchup previously on July 26th, we also saw her go on the under there. So we are expecting a similar sort of outcome, similar sort of defensive strategies from the Aces, which could definitely affect her line. So as always mentioned, keep an eye out for her line, but I also do want to mention, when you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also are favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Kayla McBride, 13.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Jewel Lloyd. Now, as we mentioned before, there is only one game for today, so all the picks are going to be from this game. But looking at Jewel Lloyd, we do know that she does play for the Las Vegas Aces and that she has averaged 10.7 points, 3.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and also 0.9 steals. So she definitely does or has done a fantastic job for the Las Vegas Aces. And as we do know, they do face off against none other than Minnesota Lynx. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams, but looking at where both of these teams do rank, starting off with the Aces, we do know that Las Vegas Aces do come in at the 8th spot in the WNBA. Now, it is a bit interesting for them because they do actually have a record that ranks them 5th in the Western Conference as well. They are 14-13, so 14 wins, 13 losses, a 51.9% win percentage. They're also 7-4 from home, 7-9 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. Now, looking on the other side of things, we are looking at Minnesota Lynx. Now, Minnesota Lynx are in the same conference, but they do come in at a different sort of slot because Minnesota Lynx do come in at the number 1 spot in the WNBA and also number 1 spot in the Western Conference. And they have a record of 23 wins and 5 losses. So that's a 82.1% win percentage. They have been absolutely fantastic. They're also 15-1 from home, 8-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So it definitely has been interesting there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know, looking at someone like Jewel Lloyd, we have actually seen her, do a decent job throughout the regular season. But looking at Minnesota Lynx defensively, we do know Minnesota do rank 1st in points allowed, 1st in assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank 7th. So they do rank a little bit lower in that rebounding category. However, coming into this matchup, we do very, very much like the under for this situation here, but strictly just for points and assists. Now, a big reason for that is that when we actually look at, someone like Jewel Lloyd, we definitely have seen her do a fantastic job time and time again. But we also are expecting the under due to the fact that Jewel Lloyd is facing off against Minnesota Lynx, who just do a fantastic job defensively, but also do a fantastic job defensively against her position. Now, looking at Jewel Lloyd, obviously Minnesota do rank a little bit lower in rebounds, and that's why we are focusing a little bit more on points and assists in this case. Now, looking at the last 5 games, we do see on the 23rd, faced off against Atlanta, had an 87-72 win in that matchup with 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 0 assists there. Then on the 25th, faced off against Indiana Fever with an 80-70 loss in that matchup, and actually had 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 0 assists in that matchup. Then against Minnesota, had a 109-78 loss with 0 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then faced off against Dallas with a 106-80 win with 20 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. Then faced off against LA with an 89-74 win with 8 points, 1 rebound, and 0 assists there. So it definitely has been interesting for them. Now, looking at this matchup, it's definitely going to be an interesting one because we have seen, them face off against Minnesota before, and we did actually see Jewel Lloyd go under on her line. So that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation once again. And we are definitely expecting the under in a situation like this. So definitely keep an eye out for the under for someone like Jewel Lloyd. As I mentioned, I think points and assists is definitely where you want to focus on. I definitely see a lot of value there to see someone like Jewel Lloyd go on the under in that situation. So keep an eye out for the under for that one. So Jewel Lloyd for points and assists. For the lines, as I've always mentioned, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to our averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Natisha Hiedeman. So as you all know, Natisha Hiedeman, great player for none other than Minnesota Lynx. And we have seen her do a fantastic job so far this season. We actually have seen her average 7.4 points, 1.9 rebounds, 2.9 assists, and also had a 0.5 steals as well. So she's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know Minnesota Lynx face off against the Las Vegas Aces. And obviously, just to quickly reiterate again, we do know Minnesota Lynx do come in at the number 1 spot with a record of 23-5 and 1st in the Western Conference, while Las Vegas Aces do rank 8th in the WNBA with a record of 14 wins and 13 losses, which puts them at the 5th spot in the Western Conference as well. So this is a West-on-West matchup, but looking at Las Vegas Aces defensively, we do know Aces ranked 9th when it comes to points allowed, 9th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, they also do rank 10th. So unfortunately, no disrespect there, but they do rank very, very low in all 3 categories. You know, Aces are just a poorly defensive team, and unfortunately that's a big reason why they don't really rank too well overall. And that's why coming into this matchup, we do very, very much like the, over for this situation here for someone like Natisha. Natisha is a great player, and we are definitely expecting some big things from her coming into this matchup. We definitely are expecting her to be able to go on the over in all 3 of her lines, as she definitely has the capability to do so. Now, obviously, she does have a little bit more of a higher usage rate in points and assists, so we are expecting more of a line to come out in that situation compared to the others. A big reason being, PrizePicks tend to really have lines out for players where they do have a pretty good usage rate. So for that reason, we are definitely expecting more of the over coming into this matchup. So keep an eye out for Natisha. We see a lot of value there for it, but looking at our last 5 games, we do see on the 17th, faced off against Phoenix, had 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then on the 23rd, faced off against Chicago, had a 91-68 win with 4 points, 0 rebounds, and 3 assists in that matchup. Then faced off against Las Vegas Aces on the 26th, had a 109-78 victory with 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Then faced off against Atlanta, had a 90-86 loss with on the 28th, had 10 points, 0 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then against New York, on the 31st, had a 193 win with 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So it has definitely been interesting to see. Now, coming into this next matchup, we do very, very much like this situation, as we are expecting for Natisha to be able to go over on her line pretty easily. As I mentioned before, points, rebounds, and assists is definitely, any of those categories definitely you can focus on. But as I mentioned before, I think PrizePicks will mostly come out for a line for Natisha in the points and assist department. So definitely keep an eye out for that. As I mentioned before, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is under our averages, then definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about NaLyssa Smith. So, NaLyssa Smith, a great player, as we all know. Now, she has done a fantastic job so far this season, averaging 7.2 points, 5.3 rebounds, 0.8 assists, and also 0.6 steals. So, she has done a fantastic job there. Now, coming into this one, we do very, very much like this situation, as we have seen when it comes to NaLyssa Smith. We do know Aces face off against Minnesota Lynx. Now, Minnesota Lynx ranked first, as we mentioned, but in the record of 23-5 in the last 10 games, they have a record of 7-3. While the Aces on the other side rank 8th in the Western in the WNBA, but also rank 5th in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 14-13, but over the last 10 games have a record of 6-4. Now, on top of that, when we look at this situation, we also do see when it comes to NaLyssa Smith, we do know that when we look at the Minnesota Lynx team defensively, we also do know they rank first in points allowed, first in assists allowed, and then also rebounds allowed. They do rank 7th. Now, coming into this game, we do actually very, very much like this situation for someone like NaLyssa Smith for actually the over, but strictly just for rebounds. Now, a big reason being is that NaLyssa Smith tends to actually have the highest usage rate in any of these 3 departments in the rebounding department. She tends to be very, very active, as she is a forward position. So that's one of the big reasons why she does have, that much more of an actual, usage rate in that category. Now, coming into this one, we do very, very much like this situation here. Now, looking at someone like NaLyssa Smith, we also do see over the last 5 games, we see on the 23rd, actually faced off against Atlanta Dream, had an 87-72 win, had 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 0 assists there. Then on the 25th, faced off against Indiana, had an 80-70 loss with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Now, on top of that, faced off against Minnesota Lynx on the 26th, had an 8.5 rebound and 0 assist game. After that, also faced off on the 28th against Dallas Wings, had a 106-80 win with 11 points, 7 rebounds, 0 assists. Then against LA Sparks on the 30th, had an 89-74 win with 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 0 assists there. So it is interesting interesting to see because when we look at NaLyssa Smith, she did face off against Minnesota Lynx recently. Now, she did go on the, under slightly for her rebounding line. She did miss it because her average is 5.3. But coming into this matchup, we do still very, very much like the over. We think, unfortunately, NaLyssa Smith, there is going to be times where she's not able to, be able to players are not going to be able to hit their line. We think coming into this next one, we should see adjustments be made, and NaLyssa Smith should have no problem being able to go on the over. So for that reason, keep an eye out for NaLyssa Smith for the rebounding line for the over. As I mentioned, if the line is under averages, then definitely look to go on the over.